Welcome to another smashing episode of Beyond the Plate with Chef Amrita Raichand and me, Rishi K. Well, I just bask off her energy and her knowledge. For those of you who've tuned in for the very first time, welcome on. We look at food, we look at recipes, we look at diet in an entirely new way. Courtesy Chef Amrita's thoughts on food, her wisdom surrounding food, and my geeky questions. Thank you all of you who've been sending in questions on WhatsApp, reacting with us on social media, on our various reels, and of course our digital output, which is the entire episode on YouTube. Welcome, Amrita. How's it feeling after 2 weeks on the air and this being the third, and what have people been telling you?
Well, today I am feeling a bit relieved because thanks to you not giving me any feedback in the last 2 weeks, I was actually nervous. And then when I came here and asked you, you scared the hell out of me, and you'll see that in our reel because one of my teammates actually recorded that reaction. But after hearing all the lovely things that you had to say, I'm feeling really good, and I'm so happy that we are doing this because I've also got a lot of feedback from my friends and relatives who heard the show. So yay.
So go to Instagram at 94.3 Radio 1 India or at Amrita Raichand, and you will see the feedback that I have given. Very serious feedback. Okay. Healthy is not boring is one of Amrita's bylines, and we made it a very important segment of this particular show, Beyond the Plate. And healthy is not boring often has some very, very interesting anecdotes. Today, my parents would have been so happy, typical Tambram parents, if I had said, I've got into Harvard University. Woe betide, no Harvard for me, but I'm constantly keeping abreast of studies that come out of Harvard University. And you yourself have latched on to a very interesting study that emanates from Harvard University. Please tell us about that.
So, as we all know, some of our children are going through vacation time. I know some of them have gone back to school, so it's weird in Mumbai. But the study in Harvard interestingly states that more than hikes, more than holidays, more than activities, what really primes children up for learning in summer is actually family involvement. And that becomes very pertinent in our situation when we speak about Beyond the Plate and we speak about healthy is not boring, because I feel that cooking is a very, very important part of family involvement, which also can help in great learning for children while they're at home.
So what she's basically talking about is, as hyper-ventilating parents, when vacations come, we enroll our children in all kinds of classes, put them through workshops, which is not a bad thing. But it can't be at the expense of family involvement or family time, because that is what they benefit from most. And, who doesn't love vacations, fun, games, activities, inside, outside, the joy of travel, but make sure you keep it together in the family. I'm seeing long faces at home because the girls have started going back to school. Others are happy because, they're getting into their vacation. But that's something that the communal feeling of cooking, of community cooking, is something that you've enjoyed in your family, yeah? And when you say cooking, Amrita, it's not just cooking but associated activities. Talk about that.
Absolutely. And again, I'm not talking about cooking just because I'm a chef. I genuinely feel that cooking can help in so many different ways. And it's not, like you just pointed out, just not the act of cooking. It's about, why don't we go out, shop for groceries? Why don't we go and shop for vegetables? Why don't we actually let the child pick what they like, what they prefer? And not only do they understand, okay, this is seasonal, this is not seasonal, how much does it cost? Then they bring it home, they wash, they learn about hygiene, about cleanliness, and then the final act of cooking, which actually makes them kind of take responsibility and that pride in ownership. They were a part of this whole process.
And kudos to you, Amrita, because I think Rahul, which is your husband, and Agastya, your son, can turn around and say that they had some very valuable time during COVID, picking up, some kind of tips from you, a series of videos. I'd like you to tell people about that.
Let me tell you, they were not happy about it. Okay, let's just burst the bubble right there. They were forced into it, and because both of them couldn't even break an egg. And COVID is something, the pandemic made people realize how important cooking was. And I've been harping about it for the last 15 years, that cooking is a life skill. It is a survival skill. And I actually have a series now called Survival Recipes, which I made for Instagram, and then we put them up on my YouTube channel, Amrita Raichand Chef and Beyond. But I actually forced Agastya and Rahul to learn. And first my husband, because he's much older and more responsible. I taught him how to make dahi. I taught him how to make an omelette. I taught him how to make khichdi. Because these are basic recipes that you need to know. Because I genuinely feel if you can cook, you will not die. You will survive.
If he was marooned on an island, he'd be able to take care of himself.
Yes, in some way or the other.
Yeah. And I like that you inculcated values of cleanliness and hygiene, washing the vegetables. As a corollary, holidays are also a great time for parents to plan play dates for their children. Again, revolving around food and menus.
Yes.
Talk me through that. Yeah.
And what happens is the general attitude of, entitled children is, oh mom, we're having a play date. I'm calling so and so. Just get everything organized. And I'm like, huh? You are old enough now. You're getting everything organized. Call your friends, figure out what they like to eat. Then you plan the menu. That's not so tough. Let's plan the menu, and then what I do from my end, I include recipes for which they don't really need to enter the kitchen, but at the dining table there is a plethora of food items. For example, I'll say make your own tacos. So the tacos will be ready, different fillings will be ready, but they are given the choice to decide what they want in their tacos. Remember we spoke about food nudging last time?
Yeah.
You know how we give them the feeling of, so they don't rebel. I'm not forcing them. Okay, I have made an avocado taco, so you have to eat that. If somebody wants to add some beans, if somebody wants to add some salad, if somebody wants to add extra cheese, I'm giving them the choice to do it. So I think these little, little tricks can make playdates very enjoyable from food point of view also, because otherwise they're just playing their games.
True.
But I make this whole, setting the table, all of this also as an activity, which keeps them occupied for a good 1 hour. And then again, they take responsibility for what they are eating.
So Beyond the Plate also talks about mothering.
Absolutely. See, it's beyond the plate.
It's beyond the plate completely. Listen guys, there is a section called Ask Amrita that we end with each time around. 9833 943 943. That's our WhatsApp number. It's really easy to remember. Our frequency is 94.3, right? Radio 1. So 9833 and then 943 943. WhatsApp any question you want to ask her about food, recipes, diet, anything beyond the plate, about health and wellness. She's happy to answer. It will come up at the end of the show. We'll take your name. We'll shout out to you. Please also put your name in there along with the question, yeah? With which we move on to our recipe of the day. There is a surprise for the recipe of the day. The tips and the tricks this time in the video, and Amrita will tell us what the surprise is.
Well, since we're talking about involving children in the whole process of cooking, I thought why not actually show you all my little Agastya's cooking skills. Well, he's not little anymore. He's way taller than me. But let's see if whatever I've taught him actually is something that he can culminate into cooking for all of you. So he's going to be making the recipe of the day this time, and you'll watch him. And you'll watch him do a lot of masti and putting some extra cheese. I can already picture him doing that. But should we talk about what recipe it is?
So you're doing a chicken wrap for us, is it?
Yes,
yeah?
He's doing a chicken wrap for us because he really loves this chicken wrap. And every third day he used to say, Mom, I'll have chicken wrap for lunch. And I'm like, okay, if you want it so frequently, and I'm not going to have that every third day, you make your own chicken wrap. So he actually learned how to make the chicken wrap, and it's a very easy recipe. What parents can do for children who don't know how to make the paratha or the actual cooking of the flatbread, can also get some ready-made tortillas, ready-made parathas, whole wheat preferably, and you can add the egg already and keep it. You know how we have Frankie rolls?
Yeah.
So basically you can do that part of the prep if you want to. And then the chicken prep is really easy. So you take a pan, you add a bit of oil, you add some sliced onions, and you throw in some veggies naturally. So in my case, Agastya loves cabbage and some green capsicum, but very often I encourage him, or rather nudge him, to add some carrots as well. So that gets cooked, but half of it is removed and kept aside. Then we throw in some boneless chicken pieces. That has already been marinated with some salt, pepper, red chili. Red chili really adds a beautiful color to this dish, so I would highly recommend that. And you can use Kashmiri red chili, which is not spicy, it's just for the color. Put in a little ginger garlic paste, and then you add that to the pan of the veggies. It cooks in its own juices. Add some mayo, which children love. Now what I do, this is a trick which I will share with all of you. Instead of using the whole amount of mayo, add half hung curd. Okay, so that's a really smart thing to do. The little bit of taste of mayo comes in. Not that mayo is unhealthy, but very often I know people buy mayo from outside, which obviously has a little bit of content of preservatives and stuff. So here, this is just a tip. You may or may not follow it. So you add in the curd, add in a little bit of mustard sauce. It really adds a little zing to the recipe. And that's it. The moment the chicken is done, you have your filling ready. Then you add it to the tortilla, the ready-made tortilla or the parantha at home, which I make. Fold it up and add that little extra, we had taken out the carrots and the onions. Add that for that little extra crunch and dig in.
Dig in, my best part, my favorite part. Lovely.
Now I have this good idea. Next time we're doing this, okay? You're coming to my studio, my kitchen studio. You're going to cook something that you like.
I don't know.
And then you'll wolf it
You're
down.
going to really have to handhold me through that.
I will. Yeah. If my son could learn how to cook, Rishi, promise you everybody can cook.
Listen, you talked about play dates and you talked about menus and you talked about, not having them run riot around the house, but, planning something for them to do constructively. I think our tips and tricks section could have something to do with that. Any tips and tricks you'd like to give us when planning a play date as parents if you're doing it for your children?
I know when children come home, they're so involved in the whole play thing that very often they forget simple things like keeping hydrated. So what I usually do is I have a very pretty jug, which is not of glass, but it is unbreakable. So what I do is I fill it up with water which has been sweetened with some cucumbers, with mint. I throw in some sweet lime slices and I make it look really pretty. So it's not just boring water, So if you want to maybe add a little flavor to it, you could add a dash of anything that children like, maybe just a bit of juice or, pomegranate juice or maybe some watermelon juice. It adds the color and that little extra sweetness. I would not recommend sugar, but you can add some gur to it. You can add some lime juice to it. And the whole point is make it pretty. When something is pretty at the table, they'll just keep coming and pouring themselves a little glass. So that's one thing to keep themselves hydrated. Second thing, like I said, let them choose, what they want to do and how they want to make it. And very important, with some children might fight, but I always like to tell them to clean up. I think that's a very important lesson. They feel that, okay, if they've gone to a play date, staff is there, parents are there. But I just make it a little fun. I said, let's make a game. Who's going to clean up faster? I mean, I don't tell them to wash. Just pick it up from the table and put it in the kitchen. I think it's just, inculcating the habit of, again, being responsible for your own self.
With that, it's our final section of the day. It's called Ask Amrita. 9833943943 is our WhatsApp line. All you have to do is ask a question and along with your name and we will pick it up. We have time just for one question today and that is from Sapna. It came through WhatsApp. I have a 12-year-old daughter. She's majorly into sports, but when she's at home, she binge eats a lot of unhealthy snacks, chips, fryams, chocolates. What is an alternative healthy munchie I can get for her to binge eat? Especially children who are into sports, when they come back from a football game or running or volleyball, they're so hungry they could eat literally an animal.
Absolutely.
And what does one do at that point in time? How does one prepare them to just not unleash them on the packaged food, but give them something healthy?
Yeah, so Agastya is exactly like this. He's a footballer and he's really ravenous when he comes home. So healthy is not boring again. What I do is I make these amazing cookies and keep them at home. They're very, very healthy. So when he's hungry, that jar is lying in his room or in the kitchen where he can just reach out to it. And the other way to do it is involve them in cooking. So they can actually make their own peanut butter balls with some oats, with some nuts, and just tie them up in some cellophane paper perhaps and keep it as a snack which they can carry with them. So on their way back also they can just munch on it. And again, if they have made it themselves, they'll obviously throw in some chocolate chips, but it's going to be something that they have made. And that is a healthy snack. Some oats, some granola, some peanut butter, and you can't go wrong with it.
True that. So keep asking Amrita, 9833-943-943 on WhatsApp along with your name. Your YouTube channel, please. Where can people reach out to you?
Amrita Raichand, Chef and Beyond.
Amrita Raichand, Chef and Beyond. It's R-A-I Chand. Yeah.
Yeah, and by the way, I have a full playlist for Playdate recipes.
Yeah.
Since we're talking about Playdates. Yeah, so please do check it out, and I'm sure you'll get like tons and tons of recipes.
What
there.
fun. And we're at 94.3 Radio 1 India on Instagram at Radio 1 International. This entire episode, for those of you listening to us on the radio, on audio, also goes up in video form on YouTube. So do check back in a couple of days. Amrita's recipe of the day, which this time is done by Hassan Agastya, is already on at 94.3 Radio 1 India, the Instagram handle. And of course, please tune in every single Monday, 8:15 a.m. onwards, to listen to Beyond the Plate with Chef Amrita Raichand and me, Hrishi. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye. Thank you for having me.
94.3 Radio 1.